Good afternoon, everybody. On this Thursday, December 4th, 2025, I got all your news for your rush hour ride home, and we've got a war that has broken out. No, not in Venezuela. The war is domestic. It is between Turning Point USA and Candace Owens. Now, Candace, of course, has been investigating. Turning Point USA claims that their leadership is the reason Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Well, now they have responded. I've got Turning Point USA's response. Then I have Candace responding to that. She's calling their bluff, and this is going to get ugly fast, but they've invited her to sort of like a debate to expose all of the evidence. So we'll get into all of that back half of the episode. We've got Pete Hegseth in hot water as he might, he's now they've started the paperwork to impeach him, and they might even charge him with murder. That's what they're looking into right now, if the accusations that have been reported are true. And a lawmaker is on TV. I'm going to share the clip with you guys, saying that they saw some of the information and it was the most disturbing thing they've ever seen with regards to the government, maybe abuse, really just committing war crimes. Again, we haven't seen that evidence, so we're going to see if it materializes, but it's a wild time to be alive. I can't really overemphasize that. Let's start with Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. So, of course, we know Charlie Kirk's death rattled the world. It was wild. He's a podcaster. Political violence of this nature in 4K, seen by millions, left like a mass PTSD. I think we could all say that, right? Well, the Charlie Kirk Show is now addressing Candace Owens' slanderous lies about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And this is posted from the Charlie Kirk Show. So they are calling it slanderous lies. I'm not going to share the entire 7.5 minutes here. I'm going to share the first minute and the last minute because we really want to get to Candace's response. But essentially, they're saying she's thrown a lot of claims out that are not accurate and that they're finally going to break their silence and respond. Let's have a listen.
Wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important.
Please.
For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She has made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job.
And by the way, when you dabble in conspiracies, this is the type of the terminology used. Isn't it suspicious that why can't I question this? And the confirmation bias that comes from looking for webs where there might not be any and looking for evidence, especially in the world that exists now where we're privy to so much data, right? Whether the Egyptian planes turn out to lead us to France in an assassination, yet to be seen. But you can find a lot of connections in an otherwise kind of chaotic world if you're looking for them. It doesn't mean those connections actually exist past any, circumstantial events. I'm not saying that Candace isn't onto something, but now that we're getting a response from Turning Point USA, which, by the way, most people in the comment section are on Team Candace right now. I'm still existing in a world where Candace has made very bold, very big claims, and I'm going to need to see more evidence, much like her Becoming Brigitte series. She's made a lot of claims. There's a lot of circumstantial things going on there. I'm going to need more than that. And that's just me. That's how I operate, especially having, being in front of the camera. I can't I shouldn't exist in a world where I run with stories that might be reckless to other people without the evidence that comes forward. But we are for sure going to cover this. Let's just jump to the back end, though, before we get Candace's response. So he goes on and on, enlists all of the claims she has made, from the, like Egyptian planes following Erica Kirk to so much else. And then at the very end, he says, look, we're going to do this live. Like, we've maintained our silence. And you see this a lot with corporations, right? Where they think they can just be silent about something and then it reaches a tipping point. Kind of like in a very different scenario, Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel's like, we changed the brand, you're going to love it. Well, they didn't, okay? And they finally went back and changed the brand. They acknowledged it publicly. They did the PR to say, we were wrong. You guys were right. Please come eat our shitty food, or whatever they said. Because come on, the food's hot garbage, okay? Seriously, it's like 1 trillion calories. Don't sue me, Cracker Barrel, please. I've never been to Cracker Barrel where I didn't have to shit my pants immediately after. All right, let's move it on. It smells like cinnamon. The gift place, you gotta walk through the gift suite. My wife always wants to buy an ornament. Like, we don't need any more ornaments. All right, so here's how they button it up, and then we'll get to Candace's response.
We didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people.
I will say this. I believe Candace lost some people after the holidays, right? She claimed that there was this assassination hit put on her, and then she was spotted out at Dollywood, which is like, the Dolly Parton, amusement park. She texted her complaint to a friend at the FBI, but didn't file like a formal report over, so those types of things. I think a lot of people, it took wind out of their sails, being like, Candace, if this is all legit, you need to be treating it as such.
She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country. And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity.
I just hate when they go, Charlie would do this, Charlie would do that. It's like, yeah, you're probably not wrong, but it's hard to defend your stance when you're all carrying on his show with his name on it and he's not there. And it's a real tough place to be. That's why, the idea of the Turning Point USA or Charlie Kirk show continuing on, I wonder how long advertisers will support it. It really comes down to, will people continue to consume this content without Charlie being the face of it, really?
He would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself. Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen.
Whoa.
In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix.
So they have to treat it like a trial, right? If Candace has evidence that they're wrong, Candace needs to provide that in advance so that they can provide their evidence, and vice versa. Get their discovery out there. They really, they really need to have like a debate moderator, or like a sort of like a not like a judge, but someone there to mediate this, because I think that's what's fair. It's easy to ask questions and be like, well, what do you know about this? And if they don't have the answers, like, I don't know. See, you're wrong. I'll tell you what, it's going to make for great TV. It's super sad. It really is super sad if if Candace Owens' accusations kind of don't amount to anything. All right, I'm going to share Candace's response. Okay, we've got her response. It's bold, as you can imagine. This coming up after a quick word from our sponsors. The Rush Hour is sponsored by Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. I actually gifted Masterclass to my brother who was looking for some self-improvement ideas. I gifted him a class about developing good, repeatable habits from Atomic Habits author James Clear. With Masterclass, you get thousands of bite-sized lessons across 13 categories that can fit into even the busiest of schedules. Turn your commute or workout into a classroom. With audio mode, you can listen to Masterclass lessons anytime, anywhere. With plans starting at $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200 plus classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. There's no risk. Every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/rush hour for the current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/rush hour, masterclass.com/rush hour. The holidays are all about finding the perfect gift, but this time of year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. Luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of scams this season and keep your money secure with Cash App. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial service platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. So Candace Owens, title of her update is Turning Point USA throws down the gauntlet, publicly invites me to ask questions. All right, let's have a listen.
Yay! Finally, you didn't have to get through all that shade that you were throwing me to get to the point that you were willing to answer questions, okay? Because that's what Charlie did for a living. How could you guys think that you were just going to continue on and pretend like people asking meaningful questions was somehow an attack?
Well, to be fair, Candace, like we have to be fair. Charlie asking questions in a debate forum for a living is different than you essentially saying multiple times, Turning Point USA is responsible for his death. The leadership did him wrong. It's like hefty accusations. You have to be careful when you have a big audience to not go so far as to weaponize your audience to I mean, if you look at the comment sections of this video, it's literally every big comment is saying, this makes me lean into Candace's side more. I'm sorry, Candace, prove her wrong. Like it's insane what monster she's created. And we'll have to see. Now that she's asking questions, hopefully she brings whatever, proof she has or, that led her to those questions, and then they can offer a response. And then maybe they can get through this. And maybe it ends with Candace going, you're right, a lot of the questions I asked, you have now answered, and you're not, responsible and whatnot. Now, should this be done publicly? In a real world, it would be done through the judicial system, but court of public opinion is almost more important at this point when your economy is based on the consumer.
That's what he did for a living. He stood up on college campuses and he debated people. And he sat there principally and debated people because he felt that he had the moral high ground, okay? And that if those people disagreed with him, he could bring them over to his side. You guys have been actually acting and embodying the opposite of Charlie Kirk's spirit. Okay. And you did it even in this. It was like one big character assassination. And it wasn't to me. That's what you guys don't understand. You're not attacking me. You are attacking millions of people around the world who watched an innocent man, be publicly executed and then watched what felt very much like the state collude to feed us absolute horseshit about what took place on that day.
I agree with her that the state was absolute horseshit. That's where Candace and I can agree. I don't trust the text messages. I don't trust the timeline. I don't trust Kash Patel with his little participation badge he had to put on his femme-fitting FBI jacket. I don't trust any of that. It's just when you ask these questions, and I understand if she's not getting participation from Turning Point USA, she's going to put her target on them. But that's not exactly like innocent till proven guilty.
Okay? 30-06 bullets do not get stopped by human necks because they eat healthy. They don't. And yes,
True.
You guys are a part of that apparatus of people who made us feel, and you've expressed it here, like you were too good to answer questions. We are already said, I got on stage and I told you that I'm Charlie's pastor. I told you I'm his best friend. I told you. You guys have even allowed people to inject themselves into his legacy that Charlie didn't even like.
Okay, she's got a point when it comes to like Netanyahu, right? He was saying, I loved Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk loved me. You've got the whole like memorial became a campaign rally, fireworks. It was gross. It was gross. And I hope Erica Kirk looks back on that and realizes that they were using her. I hope that they understand they were being used for, political theater, really. Now, what Candace has to give grace to is that Turning Point USA is letting the authorities do their job. They're not hiding any evidence, at least none that we see. They're just like reacting like everybody else did to an otherwise crazy scenario. Questioning why someone took a memory card out of a camera or someone walked away on the phone. Like, we don't know what people would go through in a fight or flight mode. There's fight, flight, or freeze, right? You just saw some crazy tragedy happen. But I agree with her. The bullet scenario, there's plenty that doesn't add up, but the trial hasn't even happened yet.
And we're supposed to believe you're doing this because you're his friend? Because you're committed to truth? You sat there and allowed the very people who pressured Charlie towards the end of his life to try to claim his whole legacy? And you're pretending we are the ones that are immoral? You're upset because you got caught lying. You're upset because you got caught with your pants down, but you cannot blame me for that, okay?
All right, so we're going to have to see. Does Candace show up? And hopefully they take as many hours. I don't care if they got to order pizza and it's a 14-hour live stream. Get through it, bring your evidence, have their response, and then hopefully people can be like, listen, all right, she made a lot of claims, but they provided a lot of great answers to them. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm curious because we're watching the Hindenburg, really, the conservative, I don't want to say the movement, but large voices in the conservative movement kind of go at it. And I understand there's this idea like we're better together when we don't fight. But there's a fight. The family's fighting. We're here to watch. All right. Well, speaking of family, how about this? You guys need to stick around for this. If you're new to my channel, we do something amazing every year. We do the Single Mom Christmas Wish List. There it is. Dave Neal Single Parent Christmas Wish List for 2025. Our great philanthropy chair, Denise, puts a list together of all the single moms. I'm going to be going through them in the coming week, and I'm going to post all of their links to their Amazon wish list on my Instagram, DNeals. Also, link in the description, whether you're listening on audio or video. You can donate to all of the different folks that we have here. They've all got a story. You can read their story of why they're asking for help, and we love to give it. From things that so simple as just, little Amazon wish lists of Legos and Nerf guns and things that they know their kids would want. When you buy something, it goes directly to the mom. They literally get the presents, they wrap them, and they feel the love. Lots of tears are shed for good reasons when we have this positivity, and we need it more than ever out there, folks. We need that positivity. So I'll be promoting all of the teacher wish lists. Again, they have anonymous addresses, so when you buy something, it goes right to them. And my goal is that if everyone in our audience could just buy one gift for one person, somewhere as little as $2 to $5, you'll be shocked at how much of a difference it makes. So we have 17 names we're going to get through. And I'll be posting some of their video. Some people have left phone calls. So we're going to get into all of that. And I appreciate in advance all of the support. I want to get into this Pete Hegseth stuff. A recent statement on Newsmax sparked controversy as a commentator accused military officials of committing a war crime. So the question is, this is Judge Andrew Napolitano, senior judicial analyst and friend of Pete Hegseth. Now we know Pete Hegseth, according to a Washington Post expose said kill them all with regards to these Venezuelan, what they call narco terrorists. We don't know if they're fishermen. We don't know what the hell they are. Either way, the penalty for trafficking drugs isn't death. It's arresting people and seizing the drugs and giving them a trial. That's what we do in the United States of America, at least what we did. So they've lost pro-MAGA Newsmax. Have a listen.
It gives me no pleasure to say what I'm about to say because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 7 or 8 years at Fox News. This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Everybody along the line who did it, from the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these two people.
And wow. I mean, this is absolutely wild. I mean, I've said this over and over, but it's a wild time to be alive. Between some of the biggest conspiracies of our young country's history, the Charlie Kirk one, to say the least, but also Epstein and so much other, from that to being charged with war crimes, the Department of Defense. I mean, crazy. Well, now we have Fox News is reporting that Congressman Jim Himes said they were shown an unedited video of the second strike, and they are claiming it is disturbing.
Getting an update from our Capitol Hill producers here. I'm told that the briefings just ended on the House side and that Democrat Congressman Jim Himes, the ranking member of the House Intel Committee, came out, spoke to media and said they were shown the unedited video of that second strike. And he says, quote, "What I saw in that room is one of the most troubling scenes I've ever seen in my time in public service."
Now, how about this? Rep. Ilhan Omar responds to Donald Trump calling Somalis garbage. This is absolutely wild. To call any immigrant group in our country, or really any country, to call them names when they're just hardworking people trying to assimilate into our culture.
Congresswoman, thank you for being with us. The president attacked you personally yesterday, and I want to play more of what he said.
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain.
Which is hilarious because Trump is literally the biggest complainer. You say something he doesn't like, you're a musician that speaks out against him. You're the worst. He picks fights with everyone from Taylor Swift to literally anybody who's not bending the knee to him. Absolutely wild. He calls her a complainer. I also hate the idea that anyone who sees a problem with society, it's like, well, go back to where you came from. You know what I mean? As if we can't all be a part of a society that tries to improve the aspects that, of government, right? We try to improve our day-to-day, try to make today better than yesterday. And this idea like, oh, if you don't like it here, why don't you just go back where you came from? It's racist. It's so wrong. How about if you don't like it here, let us know why. Let us know why. What can we do to make it better? How about that?
Congresswoman, how do you respond to that?
Well, thank you, Anna, for having me. I would say the president's obsession with me and the Somali community is really unhealthy. It's creepy. And I hope that he gets the help that he needs. It sounds like he is trying to deflect from the failures that he's had as president. His immigration rates are not going in the way that he's expected. We know that the tariffs are not working to make life affordable.
And so she, again, just covers the rap sheet of what people actually care about. Now, Minnesota is preparing right now for large raids on the Somali people. And whether you live, we used to think, well, if you're here and have the right paperwork, you'll be fine. But it's like they're changing the rules. They're throwing people out. There was a guy, an American citizen, who was he was raided twice in the same day. Hassled. So this is, Minnesota, they are now going to see the attacks that happened in Chicago and LA and other places. And it's going to rattle the community. And honestly, my thoughts and prayers go out for them. I don't know what else to do other than folks need to understand that this is wrong. We need to keep talking about it. And speaking of wrong, how about this? Speaker Mike Johnson swears in Representative Matt Van Epps. He won against Afton Bain on Tuesday in this special election here in Tennessee. It was a plus 22 district in favor of Trump, and he won by, I think, 7 points, which makes it a 15-point swing. And folks that we just interviewed, like Dr. Annie, who's running against Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, he only has a plus 12, which means if that same sort of momentum away from Republicans exists in other places, you're going to see a big change. And I think it's actually going to only get stronger as people continue to see the despair, right? So the Affordable Care Act subsidies that went away, that doesn't even take effect for another month or so. So people, as broke as they are going to become more broke and more desperate, as for no reason, for really not their fault whatsoever. They're going to realize that their paychecks aren't going as far as they would have been because of the inflations, the tariffs, the rising healthcare costs, and all of that. Well, for those of you that do have the money, let's give an update here from Billy, the creator of Firefest and Firefest 2. Both did not get off the ground. Although, look, I want him to succeed more than anyone. Here he is, days away from what is a new event calling Phoenix 2025. He's still trying to sell some sponsors. Have a listen.
The artists are flying in. The documentary cameras are rolling. The mainstream media is circling. After 8 years, Phoenix is finally coming to life. And it's all happening on a private island called Diamond Key and across the mainland of Utila in real time. I'm going to give 50 people and brands the chance to literally plant their flags.
All right, so I actually got a response from him asking if we wanted to sponsor one of their boats. I think they're going to be and I didn't respond to that. And it's no offense to Billy, but I can't open up the vault here at the Rush Hour podcast. I'm trying to help single moms out, right? I can't be sponsoring Phoenix 2025. I wish I could. I wish he had the corporate money to get this thing off the ground. It is this weekend. He is selling pay-per-view tickets. I think they're cheap. I think they're like only $5 or $7. So you can literally see for yourself how it's going to go. I think they have bathrooms. The bathroom barge has set up, so that's good. That's a start. And again, maybe it'll be fun. And they're only trying to sell 400 tickets. Maybe they only sell 80, but maybe those 80 people have fun. I mean, literally, this could be the start of something big, or it could be strike three. We'll have to see how it all plays out. I'll watch the documentary either way. All right, that's it for us today. We'll be back in the morning. So much to get into, so stick around for our Friday content. We'll see you then. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.